So welcome back. So in previous lecture we have finished the arc sources. In that arc sources we have seen its what are the limitations of arc sources and the cyanogen spectral band, which is showing the bands around 350 to 420. I guess in lecture I have till around 320 to 420, but it's actually 350 to 420 nanometer. Then we have seen what is the rate of emission and how it is affecting the signal. So in order to eliminate this rate of emission, we generally use the integrated output signals. Okay, and in application we have seen these arc sources are generally useful for the soil analysis, plant material analysis, rock analysis and mineral analysis. And we have seen the limitation of this technique. So these techniques are giving poor precision over other spark sources or the flame techniques. Also, this intensity obtained for the samples are sample dependent, and signal which is obtained is quite complex. So all this can be eliminated by using this internal standard method. Okay. So next is the spark sources and the spark spectra. Now the spark spectroscopy is again a instantaneous techniques. Okay, so as this arc and sparks are like it generated for the certain shorter period of the time, and we will get the output around 10 to 30 ampere current for the arc sources. Now we will see what requirement for these spark sources and how it works. Okay, so the spark sources contains the variety of circuit which has been developed so as to produce the very high voltage spark which can be used for the emission spectroscopy. So it has been found that the intermittent spark that will always give the signal with high precision and low drift radiate emission. Okay, so in this we get the high precision and low drift radiate emission. Okay, and all these things will be superior over the arc source. Okay, so precision is quite higher than that of the arc sources. So the for the generation of this very high voltage and low radiation, low drift radiation, generally the AC voltage which is often step up to the 10 to 50 kilovolt in a coil, and generally the solid state circuit is used for controlling both arc frequency and the duration for the particular arc. Okay, so generally the spark discharge takes place at around 60 hertz line. Okay, so spark is generally takes place around 60 hertz, and the voltage which is often used is the 10 to 50 kilovolt. Okay, so next the average current which is showing in the high voltage spark sources is around 1000 ampere. Okay, so this current is not for the whole duration of analysis, it obtained only for the shorter period, and it will be current which is uh, lower than that of the typical arc sources. Okay, so in arc sources we get the current of around 30 ampere for longer duration, but in spark sources we get the instantaneous current which may exceed to the 1000 ampere, but this current is for the shorter duration. Okay, so during this initial period a narrow streamer of that will be occurring is for only shorter or the fraction time of time shorter or the fraction time in this spark gap. The temperature within this streamer which can reach up to the 40,000 Kelvin. So although this the average temperature of spark sources is lower than that of the arc sources, the energy in this small volume of streamer which may be several times greater. Okay, so overall overall in arc sources we get the 4000 to 8000 Kelvin temperature, but in spark sources for a shorter period time we can get the current of around 1000 ampere, which will resulted into the this 40,000 Kelvin temperature. But if we consider the average temperature of technique, then the average temperature is lower for the spark sources. So as a result of this we get the sharp spectra for the ionic species. Okay, and the in arc spectroscopy we get sharp or intense band for the neutral species. Okay, so that is the difference between arc and spark sources. So we get the very high spark than in the arc. As a matter of fact that this lines obtained for the ionic species is generally called as a spark lines. Okay, so for the neutral species we get the sharp or intense band in the arc technique, and for the ionic species we get the intense band for the in spark technique. Okay, so next is the application of our spark source spectroscopy. So this spark source technique is again useful for the quantitative determination and for the various type of elements, like generally it is used for the metals alloys as such. Okay, but the main like limitation is that we should having the precise control over the various variable like the sample preparation and the excitation process. Okay, so if you want to analyze the sample by using the spark technique, then there must be some precise control over the variables of sample preparation and excitation. So in addition to this there are the other set of measurements that we should consider for the calibration method. So one is the the composition for the sample. Okay, composition and the physical properties of the sample which is to be analyzed or should be known to us. Okay, so composition and physical properties should be already known, so that if we want to consider the calibration curve then we get the precise result. Okay, so generally these spark sources which are analyzed are based on the ratio of intensity of the analyte line to the intensity of the internal standard lines. Okay, so under the ideal condition the relative standard deviation of a few percentage which can be achieved with the spark spectral measurements. So now the primary use of spark sources spectroscopy is useful for the analysis of our metals and other conducting materials. Okay, so the detection is commonly carried out with our polychromator, which is being equipped with the photomultiplier tube or the some other R detectors. Okay, so two types of detectors can be used. One is our photomultiplier tube and the other is the R detector. So in addition to this, modern multi-channel instruments are also there. They get the uh, they get they often have the interchangeable sources that will permit the excitation of the various sources. Okay, so new or the multi-channel instruments often equipped with the various sources, excitation sources of this might be the plasma source, arc source, spark source, or the glow discharge tube and the laser sources. So very high voltage sparks can also become the important device for the ablating the samples, solid samples, prior to the introduction into this plasma excitation source. Okay, so arc and spark techniques are usually useful for the metals. Okay, and the important use for this arc and spark spectroscopy is generally found in the shop floors, scrap yards, and the metal casting facilities, where this can be used as a mobile device and can be handheld. It can be used as a gun, okay. Arc gun or the spark gun, which can operate to touch the metal surface and cause the excitation of that particular metal, and we will get the rapid identification of the alloy types for the analysis of melts before it can be used for the casting, okay. So generally see here that size of that arc and spark spectrometer is around this much, okay. So these contain the self-contained battery powered and CCD based instrument with program calibration from the database of commonly known alloys and the metals, okay. So for specific industrial uses of metals alloy or the scrap material, these arc and spark sources are combined with as a electric or this arc and spark gun, so we can directly hold that onto the sample, and there it contain the battery CCD based instrument as well as the program calibration for the commonly used alloys and metals. So the results which are obtained are then matched with the standards of common alloys, and this useful for the scrap yards and the recycling centers, okay. So these are the atomic emission spectroscopy, okay. So this is the atomic emission spectroscopy. So in atomic emission spectroscopy we have seen the first we have seen the plasma sources and then electric sources. So in plasma sources there are three sources. One is the our induced coupled plasma, second one is the direct current plasma, and third one is the microwave induced plasma, okay. Out of these two, in detail we have studied the ICP and DCP, their uses. First we have seen the their principle, then application, advantages and disadvantages for these plasma sources. Next we have seen the electric discharge tube or electric discharge sources. In that we have seen the two sources, one is the arc sources and another one is the spark sources. So for the arc and spark sources, there we have seen the different sample preparation method for metals and non-metals, and we have seen the characteristics of this arc spark techniques, and last we have seen the application, okay. So the techniques, that plasma source techniques are superior over our normal flame emission methods as well as this arc and spark sources, okay. So the plasma emission techniques are useful or generally gives the better result as compared with the other techniques, okay. So in next lecture we will be starting with new instrumental technique, which is our Masbow spectroscopy and electron spin resonance techniques, okay, ESR or EPR.